Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Coffee with the Critters, where we live stream every Sunday morning at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. For those that may be new, um, hello. Sorry, I had a pop up. For those that may be new, my name is Laura Joseph, owner of the Animal Behavior Center. We're an international educational center where we live stream to everybody all over the world through our online services about applied behavior analysis and the science of behavior, working with animals and understanding the science of behavior through working with animals. For anybody that's new, in case you need to find more about the information I do, you can go to our website, theanimalbehaviorcenter.com, and you can always contact me via email, which is Laura, Lara, at theanimalbehaviorcenter.com. So if you are not on our email newsletter list, you might want to be. And if you have received our email newsletter last night, I would like to hear what you thought of the new things that I had added. So let me know. So let's go ahead and get started. I want to talk about what I want to talk about and address today is I get contacted a lot about people saying, I need help. I need my animal to stop this behavior. And my response is usually, well, then you need to find a reinforcer and stop delivering it. And that is not the only thing you do. That is called extinction. When you find um, a reinforcer for a particular behavior and you remove it so the animal cannot earn that reinforcement for that undesired behavior. That is extinction, and that is only half of the equation. The other half of the equation is reinforcing an alternate behavior. What do you want the animal to do instead? The animal is doing that behavior because it serves a purpose. The animal is getting something from that. And I've got 4 different species that I'm going to talk about and behaviors that I'm going to address. So let's start with Coco. He's an older, I would say senior umbrella cockatoo. Um, when I first got him, he would bite, he would lunge, he would bite. Why? I need to identify why he's lunging and biting in the first place. Once I can answer that why, I have identified the reinforcer behind why that behavior exists in the first place. And with him, it was moving too fast, moving past his comfort level. So I need to slow down and deliver the reinforcer for an alternate behavior. And what behavior was that? It was anything that was desirable besides lunging and biting. And I wanted to take this chance. I was looking for a photo, but I couldn't find it. But it was of Coco holding this particular foot toy in his mouth. That is differential reinforcement of an incompatible behavior. He cannot bite if he's holding something in his mouth. So I kind of stumbled on that opportunity and I was like, okay, let me pet your head, because I could tell he wanted me to touch him. And that's a potential reinforcer I can deliver for a desired behavior. But how do I touch him if I think he's going to bite me? Him holding that toy in his mouth, he can't bite me while holding that toy in his mouth. So, like I said, that's differential reinforcement of an incompatible behavior. When he was holding that, I started putting pet on cue, and then I would reach in and pet him, and it worked. If it didn't work, I would start over and keep experimenting with the environment to find out what worked. Let's see the next photo. Quincy, my beloved Rottweiler, and Levi. These are both of my dogs. Quincy has since passed away, and Levi is deaf. Um, they used to like to walk into open bird cages. When we get birds out flying around in the other room for training, if we left the bird cage doors open, the dogs would walk in and lick up all the leftover food on the floor. I don't want that behavior besides having some type of cross contamination. I want to prevent cross contamination, so I don't want the dogs in the enclosure. What do I want them to do instead? So the behavior I wanted to stop was them going in the enclosures. Identify why that undesired behavior happens in the first place. It's the food on the floor. That is the reinforcer that causes that undesired behavior to exist in the first place. Okay, so now we've identified the reinforcer. Can we give that reinforcer for an alternate behavior? The answer is yes. Those alternate behaviors are replacement behaviors. What do you want the animal to do instead? So you'll see we put big pink X's out of duct tape on the floor at the front of outside of the enclosure at each door. That is the behavior. The behavior I want you to do instead is target to those X's. Target meaning touching a particular body part to an object. I want your rear end sitting on these X's. And when they sit on those X's, food reinforcers come. So I've identified the reinforcer behind the undesired behavior and delivered it for the desired behavior. Studies show that animals learn faster from earning reinforcement for what to do versus being told what not to do. Here's another example, pigs. So we've had a bird, we've had dogs, now we have 3 pigs. I'm trying to show you that the science and the approach is the same across species. And once you understand the science of behavior, you will have the information and the tools that you will need to move forward to work with whatever animal is in your care. These 3 pigs, when I was called in to start working with these 3 pigs, they were jumping and lunging on the people trying to deliver their food. They started biting ankles. Um, these are all undesired behaviors that the people wanted that behavior to stop. Well, what they didn't know is that they have unknowingly reinforced that behavior. So the only time people came into this pig house was to feed. And when the pigs started jumping and biting, the people would throw the food to get the pigs to go to the food instead. They wanted the jumping and the biting to stop. So I politely told them this behavior serves a purpose for them because you've unknowingly trained it. You've unknowingly reinforced it. So, what is the replacement behavior? What is the reinforcer? The food, the ability to eat the food. So, let's give them the food for alternate behaviors. And I did work with these pigs one at a time, and then I brought them so they all 3 of them understood the behavior, and then I would bring 2 together, and then I brought all 3 together. That's not the only way you can do this. You can approach this with all 3 at the same time. And the more experienced I am in this field, the more challenges I want. So now I would start with all 3 at the same time. I really enjoyed the complexity that's offered by training more than one animal at a time. So we taught them to station. When all 4 hooves are on these placemats, food will come. The last photo I wanted to show, I couldn't get to upload, but this just happened yesterday. I am currently crate training Elvis and Priscilla, my 2 8-foot American alligators. I am crate training them so we don't have to force them to move to their winter houses this winter. Those winter houses we are getting ready to start to build. If they were already built, I could start training them to walk to their winter houses. What I'm trying to prevent is having to capture them. I will if I have to, but if I can prevent that, I want to. And it's time that is of the issue right now. So we're currently crate training Elvis and Priscilla. They just had their first crate training session yesterday, and it went beautifully, but not without some concern. While I was training them, what I'm seeing, and it's because it's an undesired behavior, and it's because I've reinforced it. And I was out there with my amazing team, and what's happening is they are coming to the target stick and opening their mouth on cue when I ask them to. And I'm calling them through the crate with the target stick. They know when they see the target stick, if they come near it, they get fed or they get their food reinforcers. What's happening is they're coming to me before I call them. With 2 big American alligators, that could be a concern. So, but I've trained that. They're in their new pen. This is a new enclosure for them, a new pond, and I knew I was doing it at the time, but I didn't think it would turn into be as big of an issue as it is. So when I'm trying to call one alligator at a time into the crate, they're both coming at me from different directions. That is a behavior I do not want. That is a behavior I trained, and I knew I was doing it when I did it. And I did it because they were in a new enclosure, and I was like, I'll take it. They're coming to me. I'm not asking them to, but I'm going to reinforce this behavior because I want to see this in a new enclosure. Well, now they're getting used to that enclosure, and they're both coming to me for food before I call them. And when that's an issue, and when they're coming at 2 different directions and I'm standing in the middle, that's an issue. So what I'm going to do today is I will crate train them again, but we decided I they both know their names, and I need to start putting on cue, Elvis, come. Priscilla, come. And what I don't want is Elvis to come to me when I'm calling Priscilla. I don't want Priscilla coming to me when I'm calling Elvis. So I'm going to go back to the foundations of training them, which is they know to station in their pond. I want 2 feet on that first concrete step coming out of the pond, but I want you to stay there. So I'm going to go back there and teach them Elvis, touch, Priscilla, touch, and teach them their names and to only touch the target stick when I call on their name. Then I'm going to start bringing Priscilla out of the water 1 foot, asking her to step out of the water, touch, go back to the water. Elvis, come out of the water, touch, go back to the water. Um, so when you want a behavior to stop, ask yourself, what do you want the animal to do instead? And once you've identified the reinforcer behind the undesired behavior, that could be food, that could be attention, it could be many things, then you deliver that reinforcer for an alternate behavior. And with that being said, you know how to contact me, Lara, Lara, at the animalbehaviorcenter.com. Ask me your questions. Take a look at our website, theanimalbehaviorcenter.com. Take a look at our services, consultations, workshops here, workshops at your location, a day with the trainer, our online webinars, our online annual memberships. And with that, I want to say thank you, and I will see you next week. Pay attention, Rocky's contest.